Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Earthlings. I hope you're all having as pleasant a day as possible. Obviously, that's not possible for everybody. Firstly, I hope you can hear me over this fan, but it's unbelievably hot here today. This is partly about Harry and Meghan, because I've got a lot of thoughts about that, although they're becoming more irrelevant, to me at least. But also a follow-on video from my previous video. Firstly, I'm extremely glad that all the people that support violence and think violence is good are now gone. I'd also like to say a massive thank you, not only to those of you that did agree with me, but those of you that didn't agree with me and did so respectfully. And thank you for giving me my free speech, because some people who apparently are no longer with us, I'm very glad to say, seem to think that free speech means they can go yammer and then use the, STFU expression and nobody else is allowed to say. I've actually had a long telephone conversation with someone, a fascinating conversation with someone this morning, and we have polar opposite opinions on so many things, and we had such a brilliant conversation. And one of the things that came up was, why is the art of conversation dying? Well, I would suggest social media. A lot of people need, not you guys, it would seem, because even those of you that disagreed with me, you put it so nicely. You put your case forward. And I listen and I've read almost every single comment. But there are those who are just shouty. Shut your mouth, don't you dare, you don't live in my country. So anyone who's not from England, mind your business, apparently. Sounds like the Sugars, doesn't it? Well, that's where I came in the first place. I saw the Markle engagement interview with Harry. I had alarm bells going off and I started searching on YouTube, and I very quickly found Murky Meg, according to Taz, Yankee Wally, Ashley from Danger Zone, who's sadly no longer with us, and others, many others, Bookworm, HG Tudor, I mean, too many to name. And because this community is so analytical, that's the bit that really gets me, because we all tend to watch those type of, well, I think you guys do, I certainly do, watch these kind of YouTubers. When Markle was putting out, I really hope you can hear me over this fan, when she was putting out her puff pieces, which it felt like the majority of the world was believing, there were those of us in this community that are like, I don't know, something's not right here, something doesn't add up here. And I see so many varied comments in the Megxit community where people notice different things or have different theories. It's not like everybody, like a bunch of sheeple. The Megxit community are not sheeple. I think you guys, and I hope myself, are the furthest thing from sheeple, who just go along. And we can agree to disagree. Now, just clearing up some of this, since my video before, I hope everybody has seen the disgraceful scenes of Southport. As if the community hadn't suffered enough with the loss of 3 children, they then have what my father used to call rent-a-mob turn up and trash the town. Since then, Hartlepool has had it. I have to say, I did watch several varying lives on the London protest last night, and I didn't actually see violence on either side, police or the people participating. It was a very electric atmosphere, as if it might kick off, and I feel that's why there was huge police presence. And I've got to say, I think that the police have had their bloody work cut out. Not long ago, the murderer, I suppose I should say alleged murderer, of the 3 little girls was named, and I'm going to try and pronounce the name correctly. His name is Axel Ruda Cubana. Ruda Cubana. Axel Ruda Cubana, who is 17, is a minor legally, but I believe it was the Daily Mail who asked the judge for permission to name him because his birthday is apparently on the 7th of this month. So he's just a few days shy of his 18th birthday. And I think that judge was completely right to do it, because he obviously has seen the situation and the scenes of a literal rent-a-mob being driven into various towns to trash them, businesses, innocent people, set fire to their cars, injure 53 police officers and 3 police dogs. he's made the correct decision because he's obviously thought, or he or her, could be a her, I've no idea, have thought to themselves, well, it's only a few days to go until the person, the defendant, becomes a major, and there could be further riots in the interim, in the next few days while we're waiting for that to pass. And it's better to say now, because I do see nonsense on the internet about it's someone called Ali who's 32 years old. And so it is... I know there are going to be people out there who go, no, I'm not believing it, deep state, they're lying to us, you know. The mother of one of the victims, little Elsie, Jenny Stancombe, has said this on Facebook. This is the only thing I will write, but please, please stop the violence in Southport tonight. The police have been nothing but heroic these last 24 hours, and they and we don't need this. Now, my video the other night was seeing the shocking riots in Southport. I remember seeing this sort of thing years ago in the Troubles on the TV when I was little. I remember the miners' strike. I don't like violence. I will not condone violence, and I don't like people who try and rev it up on social media. It is very, very wrong, and I do hold social media companies responsible for violent threats and death threats. They need to get a grip of it, because if they don't, it's inevitable. Legislation will come, and it will be legislation none of us like. And I also believe that it should be outlawed that celebrities and people like Meghan Markle should, for example, should be allowed to buy swathes of bots. Because bots are not human, they're not emotional. Human beings are very, very complicated. And I never more have I seen social media bending the minds of people. Now, Graham and I saw the Ali name. It wasn't Ali, it was something like that, I can't remember. A couple of days ago, someone saying this is the person and naming them and saying they were an illegal refugee off a boat. Well, that's not the case. This boy, Axel, was born in Cardiff, and I've no reason to doubt the police. People are also shouting things like, where were you in Leeds? Well, that's a very simplistic way of looking at it, because in England and Wales, I'm not so sure about Scotland, because Scotland's very different law to us, but it probably is the case. Each county has a police force. So Liverpool area would be Merseyside, Manchester area, Greater Manchester, Sussex, of course, Sussex, etc., etc. And each police force have different ways of dealing with things, and they have different budgets because they've spent money on one thing or another. So to compare one police force, or to see these poor metropolitan police officers standing there taking abuse, like, where were you in Leeds? Must have been thinking, I work for the Metropolitan Police Force, I'm nowhere near Leeds. So it's nonsensical, but then with some people, you can't argue with stupid. I'm sorry, you can't. Right, Meghan's trousers have turned into Trousergate. I see in the Daily Mail a discussion, and I mean, it's not just us that's noticed the trouser thing. And they've had this discussion about why. Why does the woman always wear her trousers too long? Now, I mean, it's up to her. I mean, she can if she wants. Oh, excuse me, it's so hot here. I might actually scare you all to death and go swimming later today. Yeah, I mean, if she wants to wear her trousers 3 inches too long and scuff them and drag them. And they were having this discussion in the Daily Mail, and a lot of them said the same as you guys. They're borrowed from designers, but surely to goodness, hemming them with a little bit of needle and thread. And what they said in this Daily Mail article is that they don't see her wearing big name brands anymore. Remember the days where Meghan was on the cusp of clinching a Givenchy. Was it Givenchy? I can't remember now. It was one of the big fashion houses. They said they suspect that those big fashion houses don't want to touch her because it could damage their brand. Now, I mean, we all knew this months ago. Daily Mail's just sort of catching up. But I bet you. I mean, I don't know about any of you out there, but I don't actually need to borrow. I'm not saying I'm a fashionista. But if I had to go to something that was really important, and I needed to wear a suit or something like that, I'll tell you exactly what I'd do. I'd pop into Jib and I'd go down to Marks and Spencer's, or I can't remember what the other ones, I think it's called Emporium these days, but it used to be British Home Stores. I'd go in somewhere like that, or Wallace if it still exists, and I'd wear something like that if it was, you know, the world's press were going to be there. I mean, our Princess of Wales wears Zara a lot, so there's nothing wrong with that. I just don't understand, and more to the point, I don't understand these smaller designers who think that it's going to do their brand any good at all. I mean, yeah, they'll become well known, but they'll become well known as whatever you do, don't buy their clothes. And then also I see this other thing where Meghan is allegedly trying to persuade Harry to pull out of all the lawsuits. Now, I can't remember who it was I heard, but someone said, you know, they find that hard to believe. Well, I don't actually. I find that really quite easy to believe, because the money has run out. That's what I think. You all know that. I've thought that for ages. How to find a small fortune. Take a big one to a lawsuit and it will soon nosh its way through. I bet you she's looking at his money and thinking, yikes, we got to get out of this and bast. See, we all know Harry wasn't blessed with intelligence when he was born, and I'm not saying that Meghan is any more. Well, she's a little more intelligent, but she must be able to see these lawsuits are going nowhere. They're costing a fortune. As I said before, Hugh Grant has bailed. David Sherborne has suggested Harry should settle out of court. I'll bet he does, because he wants to be paid. The King is not taking his phone calls. Well, I don't doubt that at all. And I'm 100% with Lady C. I don't believe that Harry is receiving money from his father. Because imagine that the royal family are painfully aware of whatever they're doing in private may come to light in the media in the future. And so they have to be very careful about what they spend money on, what they condone, what they go along with. And can you imagine if it came out later, and it would invariably, that Charles was propping up Harry with money to pay for his legal fees, to sue the King's government in his own courts? Nah, that's not happening. Plus, Queen Camilla, I'm certain, and our Prince of Wales, Prince William, would not allow it. You know, they would give strong advice. That's not to say, you know, the King is his own man and the King is in charge, but he was the Prince of Wales for, was it 70 years? The man's not daft, you know. He's been training, waiting for 70 years. I think he can size it up. I know it's frustrating. I know a lot of people would like to see titles stripped, etc., etc. Yada, yada, yada. I think you're going to see stuff like that. And perhaps not the titles thing, but I think you are going to see that. I mean, we are seeing it. I feel like 6 months ago, I and others in the Megxit community, other YouTubers and a lot of you commenting were like, they're going to become more and more irrelevant, and so they have. They're going to have less and less celebrities backing them up, and so they have. In fact, it's worse than that. It's like A-listers are, stay away, keep away from me. So they're on the downsies and have been for a long time. But as I said to the lovely H.G. Tudor, it's been a bit of a slow burn. But it always is with the royal family. Meghan actually moves lightning grease fast compared to them. But she's not. She's going to put on a facade and an image as long as she can get away with it that she's got money. Because money, as you know, attracts money. If she were to advertise, me and Harry are skint, well, you know, things are bad enough, that would make things 1,000 times worse. So they've got to put on this facade. All is well. Hence the Richter's grin. In fact, this person I was talking to this morning, we had a long gossip about Harry and Meghan. I might do a live and ask them if they would like to come up as a guest. It's no one famous, so don't get excited. It's one of us, one of our community, who's basically, we were just chewing over the fat, and bit by bit, as we were picking it apart, we were beginning to realise really that there's a very good chance that Meghan has such a condition mentally that it's actually Harry who's probably been using the money that he has to please her, to try and control the situation, and that she's really not aware of her surroundings or reality. That's a possibility. I don't know, Queen Camilla allegedly calls her a little minx, and I don't disagree with that. There's certainly been some, how shall we put it, not scheming, some strategy, let's call it strategy. And let us never forget, never ever forget, that Christopher Boozy starred on their Netflix docuseries of which they had full editorial control. Now, I'll just end on a final note. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's just dreadful here. That it is never more important than today that everybody use their own discernment. I'm not an elected official. I didn't do very well at school. I'm not particularly intelligent. I'm just a bod who started a YouTube channel, and we as a community chat about stuff. That by no means I'm right about things. I am on here to give my opinions and use my free speech. I don't threaten people. I don't abuse people. I just give my opinion, but that doesn't mean I'm right. Always double check everything I'm saying. I will never intentionally lie to you, but I might get things wrong. And one of the things I love about you guys is you're in the comments going, no, actually it was called this, or it was this date. And I think, I never knew that. And I've learned so much from you as a community. And again, I thank you so much. Those of you that agree with me, those of you that disagree with me, I think you're the most wonderful community, and I see a lot of you on a lot of the other Megxit channels, and I really do feel that the Megxit community is the creme de la creme of basic, well, I don't know, because YouTube's got, I don't know, 500 million, 1 billion YouTubers? I don't know. There's got to be a lot of us out there, and there's all a wealth of information going on. In fact, quite often, I fixed my Dyson Hoover because some gentleman, for the life of me, I couldn't fix it. And this guy showed me this one place that you unscrew. I mean, he'd hardly had any views, but I was eternally grateful to him because they're so expensive. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Thank you very much for listening.